Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And here we go.
Live from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, welcome to a very special Mother's Day bonus edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. I am the real Brad Bell, and joining me today is someone I never thought I would podcast with, a very special guest. She's like a mom to me, my grandmother, Betty Alexander, also known as Betty Alexander.
Betty Alexander.
That's right. So, Grandma, Mama, as I usually call her, Betty, thank you for joining us today on this Mother's Day special. So, this is going to be very casual. I'm going to ask you kind of a background thing about your life type question. So, it's kind of going to be a conversation / interview, and then I'll get you to talk about just some fun topics about kind of me, my friends, and Dylan, my brother, who's been on the podcast and mentioned on the podcast before growing up. So I got this idea from Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a podcaster that many of you know from Fat Man on Batman, and he encouraged every podcaster to interview the loved ones in their life. And it's something I always wanted to do. So, a lot of y'all know I was real close with my grandfather. We talked about him and Batman 66 and that kind of stuff. And I regret not interviewing and having him on the podcast, even though we didn't have the equipment, wasn't as established as we are now, but still I regret it. So, I just had to get my grandma on the podcast. Just had to do it. It's like a bucket list thing. First of all, do you even know what a podcast is?
No.
You just know it's something that I do, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get her not to be shy because she's a talker. And I know if we can get her going, she will tell some very good stories and things of that nature. So thank you for doing this. So actually, I want to start out with saying the equipment we're podcasting on, the mixer, you actually bought this. You know that?
Yes.
And she's bought many things for me, so she's always been supportive and funded us. But we're going to get into that. So I just want to talk real quick. So tell the people who are listening, and believe it or not, they will be listening. This is going to post on Mother's Day 2018, so we're recording this fairly early. I believe Mother's Day is May 13th this year. Where are we recording at right now? Tell the listeners. Where are we?
In the kitchen of my home.
How long have you lived in this house?
Since 1961.
That's crazy. That's when Kennedy was in office. The fact that you're still in this home, it's something that you don't think about, somebody living in a home that long. But even more specific, we're at a kitchen table in which I've ate probably, I don't know, 1,000 meals at probably here. Now, my grandma's a fantastic cook, great cook. She loves to cook. She was in the food service industry. We're going to talk about all that. How long have you had this kitchen table?
Probably 1963, probably, or 4.
Is this table special to you?
Oh, yes, it is.
Why is this a special table? And I'm glad we're doing the podcast on this table.
I've had a lot of people around this table.
Don't cry. We're not
enjoying their food. And also, it came from my parents.
Oh, this was from your parents' house.
No, they didn't use this one.
Yeah.
But
your dad was an antiques dealer.
Yeah.
So he had this.
Yeah.
And you got it. Did he give it to you when you were married?
Well, it was when I let's see now. When I had bought a piece of land out in off of Long Branch Road,
which is in the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, near where I used to live. All right, so you bought a piece of land out there.
So that my parents, the road had moved, and they're changed, and then they were having to didn't have a road frontage. So I bought that acre of land, and then they gave me this table and a sofa for the land.
But that's not the land you lived on.
No, I live further back
Yeah.
off of Long Branch Road.
I didn't know you lived there. I thought you just moved probably from your parents' house to this house. Did you have your own place for a while?
No, I didn't. No.
No, you didn't?
No, I just lived there
Until
with my parents, and then when we got married, after our wedding day, we came here and then left and went on to our honeymoon.
Yeah. And so this table was basically a gift from your dad, who was an antiques dealer. So this is an antique table. We've had many Sunday dinners over here. We've had lots of barbecue, lots of fish camp, lots of, good home-cooked meals. So let me ask you this. You're a great cook. What is your favorite thing to cook?
Well, I always love to cook a big meal rather than a small meal because I had worked in school food service and we dealt in big servings of food. And, but it's just been wonderful to be able to have my husband and my children and my grandchildren to sit at the table and enjoy the food.
What's your favorite thing to cook, though? You don't know she says she don't know. You don't know what your favorite thing to cook is? When you cook, what do you like to eat? Like, what's your favorite thing to eat that you cook? You think about that. I'm going to tell you mine. All right, I have two. One is banana pudding. I like that a lot. She doesn't make it much anymore. But probably my favorite thing she makes is homemade lasagna. Because you can get the Stouffer's, the frozen stuff, and it's pretty good. And it's got real popular like over the past 15, 20 years. But before that, she made this homemade lasagna. It was just so good. Lasagna is such a particular dish. It takes so long to make it. All right, so that's my favorite thing you cook. Probably is lasagna and banana pudding. So what's yours? Like, not what necessarily to prepare, but like what do you like to eat the most of what you cook?
Well, I like to eat desserts.
Yeah, who don't? But what's your favorite dessert?
Well, I like coconut pie.
Yeah.
And brownies and chocolate's my favorite.
Really? You don't make much chocolate stuff, though.
I know, but it's my favorite.
Yeah, so I told you mine. She's a great cook, so we're going to have some fun with this. So we're going to kind of rotate. That was just a little opening. We're going to rotate between. I'll ask her kind of a question about her background, so in a way like a historiography thing. And then we'll kind of have like some fun questions about like myself, as I said. So not to be too self-absorbed here. So I was here all the time growing up. This was like my second home. My brother was over here a lot too because my dad worked a lot. My mom worked a lot, so y'all would keep us, right? And we would come over here and we would spend the night and all that kind of stuff. So tell me, what was I like growing up? Me, myself. How would you describe me as a kid?
Oh, well, you were a real good young man, a young boy.
Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell them how I really was.
You was. And he always loved to play football down in the field. And they'd have all kind of friends here. The road would be lined up with cars. And all those boys would be out there playing football.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We used to play backyard football games every spring break, over summer, stuff like that. My grandpa would go down there, watch us. So of all my friends, who do you think's the most, I'm not going to ask you your favorite, but who's the most interesting, do you think? Who, when they come over here, captivates your attention? You can tell. Go ahead. They know a lot. These people know a lot of the people. They've been mentioned, or hell, they may have been on here.
Well, let's see. What was that little boy's name that you used to come?
Nick.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Nick.
Nick Broom?
No, I was thinking about the Alex.
Oh, Alex. He's not little. He's like 6'4".
Okay.
Alex and Max.
Yeah. And
Alan.
Adam Dixon.
Yeah, good old Adam. He's been mentioned on here before. His favorite movie is 13 Hours. We talked about that. So, yeah, Adam was over here a lot. Andrew's been over here a lot. We podcasted over here a lot. Like, we met up in the afternoons and podcasted and stuff of that nature. So you met Evan. Evan is a one-of-a-kind character.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Let's see. Who else have... You've met Jerry before, but like we became friends later, so he didn't really come over here. Josiah, who's been on the podcast before, you met Paul and stuff. So I know a lot of these people don't mean anything to anybody listening, but so Alex is probably definitely the biggest character of all the people that came over here. What is it about Alex that just makes him stand out, do you think?
He's very outgoing and sort of rambunctious.
Yeah, he has an odd disposition because Alex grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. His dad was a professor at the University of Michigan, like a chemistry professor, but he would come here in the summers. So Alex, we need to get Alex on a podcast one day. Alex kind of had a southern accent mixed with like a northern accent. It was like almost like a Yankee type twang. Hey, you guys, you want to go play football? Like that's kind of how Alex talks right there. And Alex is a cool guy. He's much cooler than me. But yeah, Alex definitely stands out for sure. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about you. Tell the people, you're never supposed to ask a lady her age. That's a golden rule. But, you know, for just kind of a perspective's sake, how old are you today?
I am 80 years old.
80 years old. Wow, I hope I make it that long. That's for sure. So you're 80 years old. You're from around here, right? You're from North Carolina. You grew up in this area. So let me ask you about this. Your husband, my grandpa, Dwight, has passed away. You have 2 kids, Martha and David, and you have grandkids, right? So you have not a huge family, but you know, a decent sized family. But before we talk about them, let's talk about like your family growing up. Like you mentioned your dad was an antiques dealer. What did your mother work?
Well, they had a business for years in Gastonia. It was called Dixie Furniture and Antiques, and they both worked in there.
Yeah, so they ran a furniture store. Did they have that when you were older? Did you ever work in the store?
No.
No.
Not really.
Gastonia is like it's kind of close to where I live. I live like right outside of Charlotte, like 25 minutes. So Gastonia is in between I'm in between like that and Charlotte. So furniture stores they ran a furniture store. You're one of 5 siblings, right? So
yeah.
there's you, there's Bobby, there's Cletus, there's Rose now. Who else am I forgetting? GW, the best one of all of them. All right, so out of all the brothers and sisters, there's 3 living, right? You, Cletus, is he still alive? He's dead?
Yeah.
Well, that's news to me. All right, so he's dead. So you and Bobby are the only 2 living. Which brother were you closest to growing up? It was GW, wasn't it?
Yeah, GW was my favorite.
Yeah, and I loved him. He used to come over here. He was just a very warm, outgoing personality. He traveled. It was he kind of had a weird profession though. He sold fake flowers. But he made good money selling fake flowers. People actually like fake flowers. And they would go to events and flea markets and things all over the country and sell these flowers. His wife still has a flower shop not too far from here. But why was GW your favorite out of all of them? Not that you didn't like your other brothers and sisters. I'm not saying that. But see, I only have, I'm one of 2, so it's not, I've never thought about this.
Well, he was always a very outgoing person, and he was very much for families, and he would drop in just any time to see us, and I don't know, he just made your day when he did come.
Yeah, he's one of those people that can really light up a room. He was in the Vietnam War, right? Mm-hmm. Was he in Korea too? What year would GW have graduated high school?
Now he went in at the end, almost at the end of World War II.
Really?
That's when he
So
went.
he was in the Korean War then, and Vietnam.
So he went to Germany and stayed about I believe it was about 10 years he was over there.
Did you miss him when he was gone?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, what was it like being one of 5 kids? That's a big family. That's a family of 7 between mom and dad and the 5 of y'all. What was that like? And you're the next to the youngest, or were you the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
So you're the baby. So what was that like being one of 5 kids growing up? The house had to always be busy, right?
Yeah, it did. And then it was just, I didn't think it was anything special because I didn't know anything different.
Yeah, but 5 is a lot.
Yeah.
It really is. So you graduated high school in 1955. 56.
1956.
I was close. Okay. So you graduated high school in 56. So what was America like in 1956? How would you describe it?
It was peaceful, and people looked after each other and didn't have, there wasn't near as many people around here at that time either.
Yeah, this was definitely more of the country back then, for
Yeah.
sure. Let me ask you this. What type of music did you like in high school and out of high school?
I don't remember liking much about music. See, we didn't get a TV or anything until about the time I was graduating high school.
And they had an outhouse forever. They didn't have indoor plumbing for a long time. I remember when I was a little kid going to great grandma's house, and she had indoor plumbing at that point, but she still had an outhouse, which is just crazy to me. But so let's get into a fun one here. So that was a little bit about you growing up with 5 kids. All right, I'm gonna bring up some of these stories that I remember. I want you to tell me if you remember them, kind of what you remember about it. Okay, there was one Christmas. I'm going to try to put I think it was probably Christmas 94, Christmas 95, okay? Now, they have like a den that is now a dining room, but it's kind of where the TV was at. It was the main room of this house. Then they converted a bedroom into a living room, which was their master bedroom later on in life. But they have this nice, big, fancy living room at the front of their house, okay? And that's where they would put the Christmas tree and stuff. So they would be in there hanging out, or she would be in here cooking, and we'd be in there looking at our gifts, seeing what kind of gifts we had under there, because our grandparents would get us just as much as Santa Claus would. Definitely, I would say. Why did y'all go all out like that? What made you decide to, you know what, we're not just going to give them 1 gift, 2 gifts, we're going to basically, when you came over, we usually would open presents in the morning, come over here, have dinner, but what made you, you and Papa, Dwight, what made y'all decide that, you know what, we're going all out?
I don't know. Really, I didn't realize we were, but it's...
Until you got the credit card bill.
Yeah, probably so. But y'all were so special, and we want to get, tell me I want this, I want that, and I always tried to get what you wanted.
They definitely spoiled us. And this is before not that Betty here uses the internet anyway, but this is before you could go order something online. You were either going to get it, tracking it down, or you were ordering it maybe out of a magazine or something. But usually you were physically going to Toys R Us or KB Toys or somewhere to get it. So one Christmas in particular, I remember we were over here, and I encouraged Dylan to go ahead and open up all the gifts under the tree. Do you remember this? You don't remember this? I can't believe you don't remember this. So what had happened was and it was early December when he did this. So he goes under there, he opens up every gift. It's a lot of Power Ranger stuff. There was a Tiger Zord. I think there was a Saba, he just went in there, and while y'all were in the den, he opened every single gift. You don't remember that?
Mm-mm.
How do you think I remember how you reacted. How do you think
I was upset.
She was pissed off. She was really freaking mad. Because she, wanted that to be special. It was a Christmas gift. And now we weren't going to get everything. You didn't rewrap it. I remember we ended up just taking the stuff home. So, yeah, you were pretty ticked off. The bad thing was we were at, like, a neighbor's house. And Dylan, since he had done that over here, we're over there. And it was like they were playing like an elementary school Christmas party, and we were like watching TV. Moms were in the kitchen making like goodie bags or something like that, and Dylan just started opening all their gifts, open them wide open, because I told him to do it here. So that was worse, because at least here he was opening his gifts. So that one's my fault. I can't believe you don't remember that. I was hoping you would remember that one. But I remember everything. I have like a crazy good memory. Okay. So I was wild growing up as a kid. I was wide open. Wouldn't you say that?
I would.
Yeah, I mean, I was always doing something, and a lot of that y'all bared the brunt of because you watched us all the time. And we all know you're going to act a lot crazier around your grandparents than you are going to act around your parents. So there's more stories like that. So, and we'll get your reaction to those as we kind of move forward. Okay. All right. So tell us about meeting your husband, Dwight. How did you meet him? And what were your thoughts when you first met him?
Well, when I first met him, we were tenant farmers up at Route 4 Lincoln.
Let's explain. I'm a history teacher when I'm not doing this, what a tenant farmer is. Because some people may not know that. A tenant farmer, I'm putting this as nicely as I can, it's almost like a paid slave in a way. They're doing work out in the field, working for a family, like tough work, like that you're sweating, working hard, and you're getting paid to do it. You're probably, let's be honest, you're not getting paid a ton.
You're getting your house.
Oh, okay. So you lived on their land?
Lived on the land. It was a big 2-story white house. It had wraparound porches.
Not the house that I know.
Not the house that,
Okay, so you were living on their land.
Yeah, we was lived there 5 years.
Would they? So my grandpa, his family had like a grocery store growing up, kind of like not a gas station, but like a grocery store / convenience store. So what y'all were like picking and stuff like that, or farming, I should say, did they use that in their store?
No.
No, they didn't. Okay, so did they just sell those, or?
Well, it was mostly like cotton and, big items,
Yeah.
It wasn't stuff that you would have in the store. But now when they would come to visit us, and they would bring us apples and oranges and candy and stuff like that out of the store.
Now he had money. He came from more money than you did, right? What would you describe? Would you describe yourself growing up as lower class, middle class, or upper class?
I think I probably was middle class.
Middle class, whereas he was more upper middle class, right?
I don't know that he was, really. Well, I guess they did have more than we did.
Well, compared just based on the things that they had. So, all right. So, how did you meet him? You were farming their land. Do you remember meeting him?
No, because I was too young. I didn't remember him, but my sister and him were the same age.
Yeah.
And then my brothers, Dwight had 2 brothers, older, and my brothers, older brothers.
So you knew him as when y'all were like younger.
Young kids.
And then you reacquainted later on in life.
And they sold their home over on Alexander Street. And let's see, and they built this home that I live in now. And so one Sunday afternoon, my parents said, "Do we want to go right over and see their new house?" So we did.
Was it this house?
Yeah. So we did, and Dwight said, I was so bashful then, and Dwight said,
it's hard to believe. She sounds shy here. Because this is her first time ever being. You're doing better now. You're opening up now. She sounds shy here, but she talks more than I do, which is a lot. I talk a lot. She talks more than I do. All right, go ahead.
But so he wanted to ask me, "Do I want to listen to some music?" So we played some music, and
So he had a record player.
yeah,
You did not.
I didn't.
So this was something fancy. He was more into music. He was more into movies, things.
Yeah, I never seen a movie until
That's crazy.
I never did like movies because I never grew up watching them.
Yeah. And when y'all not met because y'all met younger, when y'all started dating, like once you came over here, you visited him.
And then, when we really got together, is the fact that I was working at Matthew Belk's in Gastonia.
Belk's is a very popular still like clothing store in the South. Yeah.
And I invited him to go with me to the Christmas party for Belk's. And he did.
Yeah.
And it was on from then on.
So you asked him out.
Yeah, then to go with me to the party.
That's straightforward, especially for that time. What year do you think that was? Late 50s? What year were y'all married?
1961.
So this was late 50s then, probably, right? 58,
Yeah,
59,
yeah.
somewhere in there. So y'all go to this Christmas party. Do you remember that party?
Yeah.
What was so what did you know then it was going to work? Did you know then that this was somebody special at that party or not?
Not really. At that time, I didn't.
So what was that moment? Like what he proposed, obviously, I know that. How long did y'all date before he proposed?
Let's see. We dated about probably 2 years.
2 years. All right, y'all dated 2 years. So at what point, like, what did he do that made you think, like, this is the man I want to spend the rest of my life with? This is the man I want to be the father of my kids. What did he do? Do you remember, like, what set him apart from every other guy that you met? What was special about him, your husband?
Well, he was just a very
My grandpa.
special person, and he and a caring person. And he had, I think that his parents had already given up on him getting married because they said when they moved over here that they didn't think he'd ever get married. So,
Yeah.
But we did.
You did. Y'all got married. So it was just he was a very, much like you were talking about your brother, GW, he is a very warm person, very caring person, thing of that nature. And he was a very outgoing person too, I would say. So I guess that, would you say that you two were different, or do you think you were alike? What do you think?
I think we was probably a part alike.
But y'all didn't have a lot in common, because did you really like sports?
No.
Did you really like movies?
No.
Did you really like music?
Not too much.
So y'all didn't have a lot in common. Y'all loved each other. You cared for each other. But you think personality-wise y'all were similar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think y'all are both pretty outgoing. Whereas like Abby and I, my wife, who they call the mother of beagles, about to be a real mom, she's very shy, even though she's been on 4 podcasts now. Can you believe that?
I can't.
I know. She's been on 4 podcasts. And I'm definitely a talker and more outgoing. Okay, we're going to talk more about Dwight, my grandpa, later. So let's see. Let's get into some more. This is a fun story right here. Are you ready for this one?
I guess.
So when I would say we were in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, like many kids of the 90s, my brother and I, and a lot of our friends, we got obsessed with wrestling. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Oh my God, we'd come over here, we would watch wrestling, WWF, WCW. You probably thought this was craziness, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
It was outrageous. And the thing about my grandpa is, he would always take interest in what we were into. So, like, if we were into football, which we were, he was more of a baseball fan, right? He played baseball. He was a Yankees fan, then an Atlanta Braves fan. So he's definitely more of a baseball fan. But he would get into kind of, if we watched wrestling, he would watch it with us. If we watched, Ninja Turtles, he would watch it with us. And she was always she was there, but she was, sometimes I feel like you were just trying to take it all in. Like you were like, what are they doing sometimes? You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine what you were thinking. So when we were in middle school, the NWO was really popular. New World Order. Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. They would beat the crap out of people, and they would spray paint them. And they would spray paint the championship belts. Do you remember what we did? Boy, Pawpaw got pissed on this one. I didn't see him that mad that much, but he was mad. We went into your building, and we got a can of spray paint, and we started spray painting NWO. We spray painted tires, the house. It was like some old truck tires. He was so mad. You don't remember this?
Yeah, I do.
You remember it now?
Yeah.
What's going through your head at that moment? Besides pure rage.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know how I would react. I mean, I would be pissed, like, if my kid did that. Looking back at it as a 31-year-old adult now. But
now y'all just sprayed that building, didn't you?
We sprayed the building. I think we may have, I don't think we sprayed the side of the house. We sprayed tires. And they were like nice truck tires too. There is over here. So he was into your husband, Dwight, my grandpa. He was into ham radio. And he had like a kind of a big ham radio tower. So we would go out here. It's not huge, but it's pretty big, especially when you're like little. So we'd go out here and we'd have these wrestling matches. And you remember we'd fight each other? Not really. We were play fighting, but we would, imitate Sting and Macho Man and Hulk Hogan. And one time, I put Dylan on a trash can, laid him down on a trash can. And I climbed. Now, I was kind of a heavy-set kid, too. My brother was always skinny, so I feel bad for him. I climbed up to the top of a radio tower over here and landed on him. Yeah, we would sneak and do this kind of stuff. But that had to be a handful to take in all that. Do you remember, y'all would let us, I don't know if you'd let us, but we would come over here because my mom used to work night shift at the hospital. And my dad still works night shift. And we would stay up late watching ball games and watching wrestling. I'm talking, Papa let us stay up way late, like 11:30 on a school night, watching Hogan and Goldberg and Sting. I guess you had done long gone, went to bed.
I'm sure I had.
Like, as you're watching, because we're old now. I'm 31, about to have my own kid. Do you realize, like, as your kids and grandkids, and we're going to talk about your kids here in a minute, do you realize, like, how do you perceive time going by fast, or does it just, you look up one day and your kids are grown, or your grandkids are grown, or do you realize time's going by fast as it happens? What would you say?
Probably not really.
You don't really perceive it going by fast?
I don't believe so.
My grandpa used to say time flies by, and the older you get, the quicker it goes. And a lot of people say that. And I was saying until I was like working and doing kind of the routine every day, that I really didn't realize that. But that is true. And I guess you're just so busy, you don't see it happening around you. You're 80 years old. Do you ever be like, I can't believe I'm 80 years old?
I can't believe I'm 80 years old. That's for sure.
So it doesn't feel like you've been around 80 years.
But sometimes my body feels old, that old.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I bet it. I can't imagine. Sometimes I feel sore, and I'm 31 years old. All right, you have two kids, David, my uncle, and my mom, Martha. How many years apart are they? 5?
No.
Or 4?
Let's see.
She's 51, I think.
No. Let's see. David was born in 19, let's see,
I'm too
1962.
Yeah.
And then Martha was born in 1965.
Okay, so they're 3 years apart.
3 years.
All right. So, did y'all know when you got married you wanted to have kids? Like, were you trying to have kids, or did it just happen?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I think we planned to have children, but we wasn't really ready to have children when I first got pregnant the first
But
time.
is anybody ready to have kids?
No, not really.
No, nobody.
But so,
You don't regret having a kid that soon, though?
No, and it was meant to be.
How old were you when you got pregnant then?
I was 24.
Really?
No, I was
no way.
23.
How old were you when you got married?
I think I was 20. Let's see, I was born in 37 and 61.
There's too
I
much.
was about 24.
24. So when you got pregnant, you was about 25, 26?
I'm probably about 25.
25. And so you got pregnant. David was born in 62. And then you later on, so when did y'all decide to have a second kid?
Yes.
You wanted a second kid. Why didn't y'all have 3 kids? What made you stop at 2?
Well, that was enough, really. I mean, it was all we could afford at that time, really.
Really? So it was just like, well, 2's good. We got a boy, we got a girl. Might as well just stop while we're ahead, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then too, I had some physical problems, and back then they would, if you was having like too much female problems, they would do a hysterectomy on you.
Oh, wow. This is getting nasty here.
Yeah, it is.
That's all right. I don't think we won't get too much into that.
I don't think so either.
It's all right. I've seen enough of this with having a pregnant wife, stuff I didn't think I'd ever see. And the baby's not even born yet. So, okay. You got 2 kids. Now, let's be honest. David and Martha. That's weird. I'm calling my mom Martha just for the listeners here. But my mom, they're very different people, right? So they're both good people, that's fine. But I'm just saying they're very different. I would say, I didn't raise them. You've been around them a lot longer than I have, even though they're my uncle and my mom. But would you say they were different?
Yeah, they were different. But I think that David being in the military for 15 years made a lot of difference in him.
But let's talk about when they were kids.
Little kids.
Like kids or high school or whatever. Like were they different? Did you see they were different when they were younger? Like how would you describe? Like if I said describe David as a kid, describe Martha as a kid, how would you describe them? Kind of like I asked you to describe me. Like how would you describe them as kids?
Well, both of them was active, very active, and David would. He always liked playing Army and all, and
he played football too.
He played football, and he always was getting into stuff and getting really dirty and all that stuff. And boys that do that more than girls.
Are boys more active?
I think so.
Yeah. All right, so he was definitely. You would say he was very active, always doing stuff, always playing war, always playing football, always playing something. So what was my mom like? How would you describe her?
She was involved with everything too, and David played the Optimus football, and Martha was a cheerleader when she was just a little 5 or 6 year old, and we went down on several trips with the ball teams, and one was in South Carolina, and then one was in Florida. And Martha was always a very outgoing person.
Yeah,
had
she
lots
still
of friends,
is.
A lot of friends.
Yeah, David had friends too, but nobody's as outgoing as Martha Bell. She's so outgoing.
She's like her mama.
Yeah. Y'all are alike. Let me ask you this: was it scarier having a girl than a boy? Like, were y'all more protective over Martha just because she was a girl?
I'm sure we were.
Yeah,
and,
but how did Pawpaw react? How did Dwight react when he found out he was having a girl? Because they say a lot of times, not now you and my mom are close, but they say a lot of times that, you know, dads and daughters are really close.
Mm-hmm.
And dads are protective of their daughters, but sometimes they'll let their daughters get away with more too, because that's just, I don't know, it just seems to be the dynamic sometimes. So like, what was his reaction to having a girl? Do you remember? Was it more like, oh my God, I can't believe we're having a girl, or was it just we're having another kid?
I can't remember that, really.
Well, it's been a long time ago.
It has been. But he was proud of both of them, you know that.
Well, I know he was proud of them. We're not talking about what, I want to try to remember, get back
when it's little.
Yeah, like when they're, let's go, you know, from when they're little to when they're teenagers to when they're in their like early 20s. So when they're younger, okay? And he is proud of both of them, and he was proud of both of them, okay? We know that. But okay, for example, how did you react when Mom brought home her first boyfriend or her first like serious date? What was that like? Were y'all worried?
A little bit. Yeah, I just she had a lot of boyfriends really, but they wasn't lasting boyfriends.
Yeah, that's fine. Everybody dates a lot before they find the one. But the thing is too, like how when she would bring guys to dinner or whatever, how did Pawpaw react? Because the thing is, like, he's a nice guy, he's outgoing, but at the same time, this is like his baby girl too, you know? Like, so do you remember kind of how he reacted and how he felt about her when she first started driving and first started dating and that kind of stuff? Go ahead, say it.
I don't know, Brad.
You can say anything on here. You can cuss on here if you want to. I know you're not going to start cussing, but I'm just saying.
Well, I know we were more protective of her than we was David. A boy can get by with more than a girl can.
Especially in teenage years.
Yeah.
Because you're worried your daughter is going to get pregnant.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, I think that's a fear of anybody that has a daughter.
But most of the people that she dated was, you know, good people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, That's me.
Oh, we thought they were anyway.
Yeah, sarcasm. Yeah. But so I would like. I wish I could ask Pawpaw that how he felt. You know, like how he would have reacted to that. All right.
Well, she was special, I know, and she could wrap him around her face.
Yeah, that's kind of really she could.
Yeah.
How?
Well, most anything she wanted, she got.
And he got it.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't
we got it.
Y'all got it. Yeah. So, didn't y'all get her a car? Did you get both of them a car when they turned 16, or just did David have to get his own car? Because Mama had a Mustang, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let's see, David had a Mustang, and I don't know. He worked in the grocery store, and he had a Mustang too. And then she had a older Mustang. Well,
so y'all helped her get that car. I know she worked.
Yeah,
she worked at CVS or Revco back then is what they called it. But so he got her a car. Y'all got her a car when she first started driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I'm about to have a daughter. And it's weird because I didn't grow up with any girls. You know, the only girl I had in my life was you and Mom. That's it. Like, it was all boys in our house. Mm-hmm. We had girl dogs. That's about it. But I don't really know kind of how to react. I can't ask my dad what it's like to raise a girl. He don't know. I imagine he'd have been really strict, really protective. Mm-hmm. But that's why I'm trying to ask you, kind of get at that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, try to see, like, how y'all felt having a girl.
Well, you really more protective of the girl.
Yeah.
Not the fact that that they're going to get hurt as much, but like things can happen to a girl that you don't want to happen to them.
But a boy can get a girl pregnant.
I know, but then they get off fancy free most times.
They sometimes, not all the time. All right, how many ball games do you think you've sat through in your life?
Oh my Lord!
If you had to guess, how many? I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say in my life, you probably sit through 500-600.
Oh,
Nah,
yeah.
probably like 750 ball games.
Probably about 1,000 in all.
Oh, I'll probably say your whole life over 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So how you're not a huge sports fan, but you would watch it just because he would.
And just like the football,
Yeah.
I still don't know how the rules and regulations and what they're doing, but I would sit there and watch with all you boys that was here. Sit there and just watch the ball game.
I probably watched every Panthers game over here up until when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably watched about 13, 14 seasons worth of Carolina Panthers. Over here, y'all would come over to our house, or my grandpa would come over to our house. And those are good memories. I mean, I passed up a lot of times going to friends to watch football games, to just come over here and watch it. And a lot of times, so friends would just come over here and watch it. Mm-hmm. And it would be a big deal. So what was your since you're not a huge sport fan, what was the most bearable sport to watch? What was your favorite to watch? What team or what sport was your favorite?
Well, I guess I probably like baseball better because I knew a little more about it. And see, your daddy played baseball or softball. I mean, your pawpaw.
Yeah.
In everywhere that he could get a game up. And half the people here in his age in Kings Mountains played ball on most every ball field in Kings Mountain.
Yeah.
And all. But, and I learned to like football. I didn't know what was going on, and I still don't. But I guess we just won't say I started to say sacrifice, but I don't think that's the right word. But we just watched it just for y'all to be able to.
Yeah.
Me, I did.
Yeah, I think Papa liked football.
Oh, he did. He loved football.
How would you describe Dwight during a football game that he really cared about? How would he act?
Well, if it didn't go right, he'd hoop and holler.
Oh, yeah.
Holler at the team.
He didn't cuss much, but if it was a ball game, he would. That was about the only time I really heard him cuss. How would you describe me watching a Panthers game?
You get all excited, too.
I get really upset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as bad as I used to be when I was younger, but I definitely get really upset for sure. Now, let's be honest. You spend a lot of money on your grandkids through the years. How much money do you think you spent? If you I would say
several $1,000s.
I would say at least $10,000 you spent on your
all through the years. I think it would be at least $10,000.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did without some things so we could help you do things for y'all.
Yeah, you really did. You
Mm-hmm.
really did. So the thing is, I guess I still do this to an extent, but we'd go through fads, and we would want stuff based on that fad. So it could be Ninja Turtles, it could be Power Rangers. Football has been pretty constant. Stuff like Batman's been pretty constant. But like NASCAR, I got into NASCAR for like 3 years, and you must have bought me dozens of die-cast cars.
Wonder where they are.
They're at my parents' house, and I still, like, that was a lot of money that y'all spent. Like, sometimes I can't believe it. Like, all right, so on that note, being a grandparent, how's it different being a grandparent than a parent? And why is it so much fun? Because being a grandparent's a lot more fun. So how is it different?
Well, you older and you're more experienced in when you first have your children, you're nervous and scared,
Yeah.
And so you're more relaxed with the grandchildren than you are with the children because you're more mature.
Yeah. Well, there's that too. Plus, you don't have to be the disciplinarian.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know?
You can let them do what they want to, and then they let the parents take care of them.
Was being a grandparent fun?
Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was rewarding.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the trips we would take to Fats and Shoney's?
Fats in Gaffney?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fats Cafe,
Okay.
chain restaurant. There's one closer to us now, but there used to be one about probably 35 minutes away, 40 minutes away in Gaffney, South Carolina, and every Tuesday. So my grandma was the reason I was a fat kid, because she was a good cook, so I ate good food. They always took us out to eat. So we would go to Fats. And do you remember those times?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Do you cherish those memories?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You remember hitting that quarter and breaking the windshield?
Yeah, I do. I'll tell that story real quick. So there's these outlet malls over there near Fats, and we went there like either before or after. I think it was after dinner. And I'll be honest, my grandparents got me pretty much everything I wanted, and I was a spoiled brat, especially when I was much younger. And if I didn't, it would be almost jarring to me if they didn't get me something. So I'll be honest, I'd pitch a fit, and that wasn't the right thing to do looking back, but it's the truth. My grandpa used to read me this book. I don't know if you remember this book. I actually bought it for Harper. It's a Bernstein Bears book. It's called A Case of the Gimmies. And do you remember it?
Yeah.
And basically, it's, a moral, a kid's story, having kids, not to beg. And, Grandpa Bear wanted to get the kids everything. So did Papa Bear, and they got spoiled. But learning how to not be spoiled and entitled and things of that nature. Okay? So I remember he would read that book to me, but I guess it didn't catch on like it should. But there was something I wanted. I think it was like it sounds so lame. It was like a Jeff Gordon painting or something I wanted, which I, oddly enough, ended up getting for my birthday or something like a year or so later. But I wanted it so bad that I was freaking out. And I didn't mean to break the windshield, but I threw a quarter or a nickel or something, and it cracked the windshield of a Crown Victoria. Why? First of all, why did y'all always drive Crown Victorias? Y'all always have the biggest cars. Why?
I'd haul everybody around.
But don't those things suck gas down?
No.
Yeah, you don't drive hardly anywhere now.
Yeah, but it's good. They've been good on gas, really.
So I crack the windshield, and nobody says nothing the whole ride home. But y'all never told my parents about it. I think I've since told them, but you never told my parents about it. I thought y'all were going to tell my parents, and they were literally going to murder me, Why didn't y'all tell my parents?
Oh, we're just protecting you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't literally going to murder me, but I'd have got my butt wore out. That's for sure. So of all the stuff so let's take Panthers off the table. Of all the stuff we would watch, that I would watch over here, because a lot of times I'd bring movies over and stuff, watch them with my grandpa, and you'd kind of halfway watch them. So of all the stuff, so let's take Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, wrestling. Let's throw in Batman movies, Spider-Man movies. Which was the most tolerable? Which one did you? I think I have your answer, even if you don't remember. But which do you think was the most tolerable?
I don't remember that now for sure.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I seem to you remember not hating the Spider-Man movies.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. I remember that. Let's see. Okay, a couple questions here I want to ask you. So one time, Grandpa used to have this old shed, and he'd keep his lawnmower, stuff like that in there. And there was like a sharp metal rod, and I cut my foot on it. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Describe the situation.
You screaming and hollering.
It was a bloodbath, though.
Yeah, it was.
It was like gushing blood.
I don't even remember how we got it stopped or anything.
I remember y'all carrying me in, putting my feet in that sink. I think it was probably still the same sink right there.
No, it ain't.
Oh, it's a different sink. Okay. Putting my feet in that sink, and my foot specifically, and I just remember it pouring blood. I probably should have went to the emergency room.
Yeah,
today, if it was like one of our kids, we'd go to the emergency room. But back then, not that I shouldn't have went, but it was just, I don't know. I guess you just applied pressure and eventually stopped bleeding. Okay, I want to ask you. I actually brought this story up not too long ago on the podcast. I asked you this one. Now, you may not remember this one either. I know Pawpaw does, okay? So, we got into this show. It's called Jackass. And these guys would do pranks, and they would go do stupid stuff, and they'd film themselves doing it, like Johnny Knoxville, Bam Margera, these type of people. And we got obsessed with this show. And one of the skits they had was they would dress up in fat suits, or they would dress up as old people and go out and do crazy stuff. So one day, I believe it was me, Dylan, Nick, I can't remember if Adam was involved or not. I can't remember. This probably was like around the second Jackass movie, probably like 2006. Anyway, we got one of Pawpaw's old sweatshirts and pants, like bigger. I think we ended up getting like some jogging pants. I don't remember what we did, but we took duct tape and duct tape pillows around me. Got glasses, one of y'all's canes, which you didn't even really use at the time, and a hat. Do you remember this?
And you went to Food Line.
And we went to Food Line.
Yeah.
So you do remember this.
Yeah.
What were you thinking about that?
I didn't know what to think. I'm surprised they didn't call the law on you.
I can't believe they didn't either. Or they did kick us out.
Did they?
Yeah, so we would do crazy stuff. Like we would like put oatmeal in our mouths, and we'd have like a bottle, like dry oatmeal, and we'd have like a bottle of water, and we'd be drinking it. We'd just fake throw up just to see what people would say outside a gas station. But I went in Food Line, falling down, things like that. You must have thought we was crazy.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I wish I had that recorded. That was before the video, like, cameras were on the phones back then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I did it at my mom's work, too, and she freaked the hell out.
Where was that at the hospital?
Yeah, and there was, like, some big wig there that day. And it was just, it was crazy. All right, so let me ask you this. You took a lot of trips after your retirement. You retired not early, but at an age where you could still get out and do things. And you took a lot of trips around the country and whatnot. With your husband, what's your favorite of those trips you took? Do you remember?
Yeah. Probably Branson, Missouri, and then to Mackinac Island in Michigan.
Is that near Niagara Falls? Or not? Didn't y'all go to Niagara Falls? That's a different trip. Or was that the same trip y'all went to Michigan on?
I believe it was I think it was a different trip.
Why was Branson one of your favorites?
Well, they was real popular then, all the musicians and all. And
didn't y'all see Brad Paisley there? He was
No.
That was at the Grand Ole Opry.
No, he was coming. I don't know where we were been. Oh, it's somewhere in West Virginia, I believe. And we went to a concert, and Brad Paisley was there, and nobody knew him. Yeah. He had never got famous or nothing, and they didn't care anything much about him and all that. But I thought, well, that was before he ever became famous.
Now he's one of the biggest country artists in the entire world.
And I've got pictures somewhere of him, because this girl, she would take him, was using the camera and taking pictures walking down.
Back with the camera with film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Branson, Missouri was your favorite, just seeing the musical acts and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about Mackinac Island?
It was so beautiful. And there's no automobiles there, and you have to go over on a catamaran or whatever.
Did y'all ride golf carts around?
No, we just walked around, and then had this big porch with rockers on, and we'd sit out and rock on those. At every room in that big hotel was a different theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your theme? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, it was just decorated different. It wasn't really a theme, I don't guess. But some of it would be mostly pink and just different And that just even sitting out there rocking on the rocking chairs, and you could see the water, just rolling.
Now, you're a big fan of Disney. You're a big fan of Mickey Mouse.
Oh, yeah.
You have a lot. You collect some Mickey Mouse memorabilia. And in the late 90s, you got to go to Disney World. Y'all took us with my parents and my brother to Disney World. First of all, why do you like Mickey so much? Like, what resonates with Mickey Mouse to you? What makes you like him?
I don't know, tell you the truth. And, we didn't have TV, like I said, until about 1956. So I guess I seen him a little bit on the TV, and some reason I got to liking him.
And we go to Disney World. What was that trip like? Hot, right?
Oh, yeah, it was hot.
We went in the summer. It was crowded. Pawpaw was freaking out in the traffic. You remember that?
God, every time we would leave the motel, and he'd get lost. Couldn't get back.
That was before GPS back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, nowadays that probably wouldn't happen, but you were actually trying to read like a paper, like a physical map. So what was your favorite part about it? Did you think you would ever go to Disney World in your life?
No.
Now, what was your favorite part about it?
Well, they had a lot of good shows.
Yeah.
And, they had all the characters walking around everywhere.
And you got to meet your favorite character, Mickey Mouse.
I
what
did.
was
Got
that
my
like?
picture made with him, and he autographed a hat.
But it's not a real, like it's a guy.
It's just a guy, somebody in there.
I know, but and I remember. Do you remember how your reaction was, or what you said you felt when you met that Mickey Mouse at Disney World?
I don't remember.
You said your heart dropped. You were so excited.
Oh. Yeah.
So it was just special because you were at Disney World. It was as close to the real deal as you're gonna get. And what made you plan that trip to Disney World?
I think your mama helped get that going, and we went.
Yeah?
Yeah, to go to Disney World. Somebody had been that she knew. But really and truly, what we should have done was just went out there to the park and stayed
in Disney. We didn't stay at a total crap hole like the Florida Project or something. We stayed at like the Hampton Inn. It was a fine hotel.
Yeah.
But we should have stayed in the park. It made it a lot easier. But here's one I remember, the Red Roof Inn.
Oh yeah.
So Red Roof Inn was a motel we stopped at in Jacksonville, which we should have just went on through because we were closer than we thought. And Martin Mull was like their sponsor. He's like a celebrity on Roseanne and he's a character actor from the 90s. Google him, you'll figure out who he is. But anyway, Martin Mull would come on there and do these ads and something, and for some reason it just freaked me the hell out.
You were scared.
I don't know why. I
don't
still
know.
can't. Y'all must have thought I was crazy. All right, let me ask you this. Why don't you like the movies? Because the movies, Pawpaw loved movies.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things in the whole world. It was originally the reason we started podcasting, was just to talk about movies.
Well, the reason I didn't go to a movie until I started matching Pawpaw, and he would pick me up at the after work at Belts and Gastonia, and we'd go to a movie. And I was so tired, I'd always fall asleep.
Oh my God!
After I'd worked all day.
See, Abby she didn't dislike movies. She just really wasn't into them like I was. She was more into music. But I've got her in the movies since. I think more so than she ever dreamed she would be. Do you remember coming over to my house and watching The Dark Knight, the Batman movie? Do you remember that? Me blasting the surround sound. Not in my house now, but when I still lived with my parents. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I believe I do.
That must have been overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
God. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple quick questions here, okay? Like, we call them rapid fire questions. So just give you a few things I want to get through before we get out. Yes or no, does Dylan and I, my brother, cuss too much? Do we cuss too much?
Well, Probably so. I mean, I have not been around you enough lately to know that whether you do or not.
I don't cuss as much as I used to. I do cuss. I try not to cuss too much on this podcast, even though we can. But I'd say Abby cusses more than I do. Dylan cusses way more than I do. The thing is, y'all hardly ever cussed. Daddy hardly ever cusses. My dad, Brian. But God, Mama cusses like a freaking sailor.
Wonder why she does. That's what I can't figure.
I don't think she does as much anymore, but like when we were teenagers and stuff and we would make her mad, she would just go, like, she would just cuss us like crazy. So yeah, we probably do cuss too much. Let me ask you this. What do you think? You don't have to go deep into it here.
Well, I think if you cuss any, you're doing too much.
Yeah, I know that's what you think. But no. So I mean, try not to cuss. It's not good. It's not classy. I don't think there's that much wrong with cussing. I don't think you should use like God's name in vain or anything like that. But if you say hell or shit or something like that, I don't think it's that bad. But anyway, okay. You don't have to dive deep into this, but I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Donald Trump as our president?
I tell you the truth, I don't know. He's sort of wishy-washy. He don't know what he wants to do, and I think he's maybe getting some of these countries against us. That, like he's doing all this stuff, he's changing.
Do you think he acts presidential?
No.
Deep down, do you think he's a good person?
He wants you to think he is, but I don't much believe he is.
Yeah, I agree. He's kind of like a snake oil salesman. Okay, I'm gonna see. Let's see about two more things I want to talk to you about, and then we'll get off here with this special Mother's Day edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. So, you're a religious person. You go to church. You pray. You believe in God. You've accepted Jesus. All this stuff. You grew up taking me to church. Okay, I believe in God. Okay, I'm not like some atheist or agnostic or something like that. One thing that I struggle with is that I love God and like I want to use God as like a moral compass in my life and stuff like that. Now, not I'm perfect. God knows I sin. But nobody's perfect. I mean, that's kind of the point of religion and God, if you believe in that kind of thing, is forgiveness and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, but I think God provides a good sense of morality most of the time. Now, religion can be taken and twisted and make people do bad things. We know that. But at the same time, and I'm not going to dive deep into it. We're not getting specific here. But the institution of the church has just been something that I've always been wary of. Not God, okay? I'm not wary of God and, faith and that stuff. I consider myself a faithful person. But it's just the institution of the church and stuff. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people use it for the wrong reasons, more for their personal gain than like the glory of the God that they profess to believe in or that they do believe in. I'm not questioning anybody's faith here. But like, why is church so important to you? Why do you think?
Well, I think God said in the Bible to not forget. Let's see, how's it go?
You're forgetting it. He said not to forget. No, and you're forgetting
You're supposed to go to church and worship God.
Yeah.
But I think it's something like don't forget to do go to church.
That's not what it is.
No,
it's
but
something
it's
like
right.
Yeah, something about like you should go and be amongst believers and something like that, And it is important to you, but the thing is, one thing I struggle with is I think you can be a godly person, a good person, and a faithful person without going to church. I don't think that defines you as being a believer of anything. Because I do think there's probably people that go to church who don't believe half the stuff they hear in the church. And I'm not bashing organized religion or church here. I'm definitely not doing that. But I just, that's something I struggle with, because I want my daughter, I don't want to like push church on her. I want her to believe in God. I want her to use God as a moral compass and things of that nature, and ask for forgiveness of sins and stuff. And I'm not trying to get too deep on this podcast, especially toward the end, but I just struggle with putting her in the church, because it seems like, and I'm not talking about a specific church, okay? I'm talking about like churches in general.
Well, she needs to be, when she's old enough, she needs to get in church. And everybody needs, see, if you had not went to church, if we had not taken you to church, and
y'all took us to church.
Every time the door opened, it makes you a better person.
There's good people that don't go to church, though.
Well, but
then there's bad people that go to church.
Well, I'm sure
I don't think going to church makes you a better person.
No, it don't make you a better person, but it helps you to, I think, live closer to God.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point of church.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I agree with you. That's the point of church. That's important. But so many times people, like, they view church as like something for their own gain, or something to, almost like they're in high school as a kid, like to be popular, to rub elbows with people and stuff.
Well,
and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's what church is intended to be.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's meant to be that either. But still, God said, don't forsake your assembling together.
Don't what? Don't forsake what together?
You're assembling together in like church.
What's that mean?
Like going and be with other Christian people. And worship.
Yeah.
But and I can tell you that there's a lot of people who are not going for the right reason, and a lot of people that's going and maybe they don't even have their heart right with the Lord either. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I'm not bashing church at all, but it's just something that I struggle with. I know religion and God and, Christianity is something that's very important to you.
Well, but you at one time didn't question that.
Well, I don't question God. Like, I believe in God. I've told people on this podcast that before. But like, I struggle with the institution of the church. Because I feel like the institution of the church was a place that was intended to go and be amongst believers and to prop people up in faith and things of that nature. But I think more times the church is used for societal gain. I think sometimes people in the church judge more than anybody else, and that turns people off from religion. And this isn't any specific church. This happens in all churches. And you can't judge, a whole church by a few people. But it's just, I'm just telling you the feeling I get. I don't have any numbers. Like, I can't tell you, okay, I go to this church, there's 200 people, and 150 of them are there for the wrong reasons, and 50 are, I have no proof of that, okay? I'm just telling you what I feel. Does that make sense?
And what made you start feeling that way?
Well, I don't want to dive too deep into that, because it's like, I just don't want to get into that. Just experiences with people, and I feel like religion is so subjective. Like, what you believe is right, and let's not even talk about multiple religions. So I'm not even talking about like from Christianity to Buddhism to Islam to all that. Okay, so let's just take Christian teaching, like Presbyterians versus Methodists versus Lutheran versus Baptist versus Pentecostal versus Episcopalian. They all kind of believe, I'm sorry if I'm talking too loud, they all kind of believe in the same thing, right? But they have varying views on it. But it seems like each one of them is like sure that their version is right. And I'm not talking about religion as far as like Islam versus Christianity and Buddhism, right? I'm talking about like denominations think that their view on Christianity is the specific right reason. Like, why do they think that? How do they know that? Because let's say one of them is the specific right reason. Let's just say, for argument's sake, it's Methodist, okay? I'm not saying it is. I'm just, for argument's sake, it's Methodist. That's what my grandpa, he grew up a Methodist, right?
Your grandma.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. All right. So so they went to a Methodist church and things of that nature. Anyway, so let's say Methodist is the right way. I'm not saying it is, but just for argument's sake. Does that make everybody else wrong? Everybody else bad people? Because they're still practicing religion. They're still, embracing God. And I feel like a lot of times people within the church are narrow-minded, and they think that their way is the absolute right way. And I believe in God. I believe in forgiveness. Hell, I'll go ahead and tell you, I believe in salvation. But to say that one view, I'm not even talking about belief, okay? One view of a certain belief is the right view, not the right belief. I don't think that's right. And I don't think, and it's not just that I don't think it's right. You know what I think is worse? Is that people feel entitled because they're entitled because their way is the right way. How do you know it is the right way? It just is because this is the way I grew up. No, that doesn't make it the right way, you know? So that's just why. That's why I believe that way. It's like, it's not that it has nothing to do with God. It really has nothing to do with Christianity at all. It's like, it's more to do with like the church. Is I think people, it's not just that people use it for the wrong reasons. It's they feel entitled by their certain views on that belief. And I'm not trying to bash God. I'm definitely not trying to do that. I'm not trying to bash any certain type of religion or any denomination.
What does your preacher friend say?
Jerry?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to dive deep into... I don't feel that would be right for me to... Jerry, co-host of the Confirmed Epic podcast, is also a youth minister. And he also does some other work in, I'll just say, almost kind of like psychology. Not going to get into that. I know he wouldn't want me to, but I think he kind of... I don't want to speak. I don't want to put words in Jerry's mouth. Like, I know kind of, and I can tell you off the air.
Oh yeah.
But I don't want to say it on here.
Yeah, you better.
Because I think that would be wrong to kind of speak for him. But let's talk about Dylan for a second. Dylan, my brother Dylan, not serious stuff, just fun stuff. How would you describe Dylan in a fun way?
Oh, he's a fun-loving person.
Yeah.
He likes and he loves football, but he must have got that out of his system.
Yeah. I don't know if he's as persistent on that. You think we're really different, me and him?
Oh, yeah.
How?
He's more reserved than you are.
Yeah, he's definitely more shy than I am. I'm definitely more outgoing. That's for sure. But he's a great guy.
Oh, yeah. He's good as gold.
Got a good heart.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. Let me ask you this. I'll close on this question. You're about to be a great grandma. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
Did you ever believe that you would live to be a great grandma?
No, I didn't. Never had thought about it, really.
Are you excited about it?
Oh, yeah. The closer it gets, the more excited I get.
I know Abby could be going into labor right now. We don't know. Who knows? No, she's not right now. So we're naming the baby Harper. Do you like that name?
Yeah.
You know where I got that name?
Mm-mm.
Out of a Batman comic book. Don't tell Abby I told everybody that. But Harper Row from Scott Snyder's run, a.k.a. Bluebird. So is it crazy thinking you've been, think about this. You've been a daughter, right? You've been a wife. You've been a mom. You've been a grandmother. And now you're going to be a great grandmother. All these roles you've lived in your life. Aren't you proud of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am. God's let me live to experience all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's crazy. It's crazy. Let me open up the floor to you. Is there anything else you want to say about your life or about me or about, I don't know, whoever or whatever? This is an open forum, like, before we end this.
No, I don't reckon so. I have been this family has been blessed. I can say that with good children. Had a good husband, and we had good children and good grandchildren. Not great grandchildren, but grandchildren.
You don't have good great grandchildren too.
I will.
By the time this is, because I'm gonna put this out on Mother's Day. By the time this comes out, you'll be a great grandma.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about podcasting?
I don't know.
Do you think you got better at it as it went on?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you were shy at first, but I think you did pretty good. You definitely got better on the back half. Okay, so if that's it for Betty, my grandma, I will say that thank you for listening to this special edition, Mother's Day edition of the Confirmed Epic Podcast. You can find more of this podcast at thegww.com, Geeks Worldwide, at the Epic Review, thepicreview.com. You can email the show at thepicreview@gmail.com, thepicreview@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating so more people can find the podcast. Hey, look, I know this is like a personal podcast to me. This is something that I wanted to do. So it may not be everybody's cup of tea to sit here and listen to me interview my grandma, but believe it or not, dozens of people will listen to this. And like, whether we're talking about grandmas or Avengers or Christopher Nolan, as we always do, we appreciate you downloading. We appreciate you click and play, and for all the support you give us. And once again, from the Hollywood foothills of North Carolina, we are out. All right, I love you, Grandma.
That's
I love
all
you
I
too.
Love
can
you.
say about that.
This has been a production of the GWW Radio Network. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. Also, check out Geeks Worldwide at thegww.com for all the latest news, reviews, and opinions on video games, comics, movies, TV, cosplay, and more. Geeks, assemble!